in this country that we secure the border, fix our broken immigration system in a bipartisan and comprehensive way, while at the same time standing up for dreamers, farm workers, and law-abiding immigrant families. There are a lot of people throughout this country who now disapprove of the Trump administration's approach to immigration, who were promised that the Trump administration was going to focus on deporting violent felons as opposed to targeting children and law-abiding immigrant families. The Trump administration should spend the billions of dollars in taxpayer resources that it has to make this country as safe as possible by focusing on deporting violent felons, not showing up at Little League baseball games, churches, schools, and hospitals.
Leader Jeffries, speaking of that, a lot of your colleagues are supporting the Dignity Act. Are you interested in immigration compromise legislation in this Congress?
We have a broken immigration system, and we need to fix it in a comprehensive and bipartisan way. I haven't had a conversation with the authors of the Dignity Act, but I look forward to that discussion to determine if there's a path forward. Thanks.
In your interview on CNN, you mentioned blue states that might try to do mid-decade redistricting as a counter to Republicans. You specifically mentioned some that have independent redistricting commissions or that explicitly prohibit mid-decade redistricting in state law. How do you get around that?
I think that we continue to have conversations with the state delegations, whether that's in California or New York or beyond, to explore what the opportunities and possibilities are in order to make sure that the congressional map in 2026 is as fair as possible. We also believe that if Texas goes forward with this extreme mid-decade congressional gerrymandering, which shows how desperate these people are because the American people are rejecting them and their policies, including their signature One Big Ugly Law, that there will be several current Texas Republicans who will be made vulnerable in the midterm election, and that they should be careful with what they are doing because many of them may not return in the aftermath of the midterm elections. Third row, thanks.
Jeffries, as Democrats try to take back the House in the midterm, will they be focusing on the Epstein files issue, retcon until Politico to hammer this issue? Do you feel the same way? Do you think that should be an important issue in the midterms?
I think we're going to focus on building an affordable economy so we can ensure that we drop the cost of living for everyday Americans, and they're in a position to be able to thrive, not simply survive. We're going to focus on protecting the health care of the American people, particularly in the midst of all of the damage that is being done as a result of this One Big Ugly Law and the assault on Medicaid, the assault on the Affordable Care Act, the assault on Medicare, and the assault on the Children's Health Insurance Program. We also need to combat corruption in Washington, D.C., and deliver a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as opposed to what's going on right now, which is a government of the billionaires, by the billionaires, and for the billionaires.
Looking ahead to the September 30th funding deadline, Republicans are expressing interest in more revisions package. Do you expect House Democrats to take the same position as the last funding deadline, which was opposing the CR and not helping Republicans keep the government open?
It's my expectation that if Republicans try to jam a highly partisan spending bill down the throats of the American people here in the House, we'll reject it. Rosa DeLauro will take the lead and has consistently expressed an interest in trying to arrive at a bipartisan spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being. But it's Republicans who have shown no willingness to do that, and you have Trump administration officials like the author of Project 2025 saying that we should walk away as Republicans from the appropriations process, which means they want to shut down the government. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. House Democrats spent last week trying to force votes to release records related to Jeffrey Epstein, and you have said that you support that movement. Why are Democrats just looking at this and pushing for this right now and not really during the Biden administration?
I support transparency in terms of the American people. The far right, Donald Trump, right-wing conspiracy theorists and others are the ones who have put this Jeffrey Epstein thing in the public domain. Let's be clear about that. No one looking at the facts disputes that. This isn't anything that any of us as House Democrats have been focused on ever in terms of trying to fan the flames of what may or may not happen. But once it has broken into the public domain, and there's a clear desire on behalf of the American people to get more information, then the right thing to do is to present the facts and the evidence to the American people so that they can make an informed decision about what may or may not have happened and who may or may not be implicated in the Jeffrey Epstein matter. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about the situation here. Jeffrey Epstein was a friend of Donald Trump. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested during the Trump administration. Jeffrey Epstein was detained during the Trump administration. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide during the Trump administration. Trump administration officials have said prior to arriving in Washington in positions of prominence, including at the FBI and the Department of Justice, that they were going to release the Epstein files. Trump administration officials are now in a position to release the Epstein files. Does any of that, in your view, have anything to do with President Joe Biden? Why do we think President Joe Biden or President Barack Obama's names are being invoked? Because Donald Trump is running scared. And the Trump administration is running scared. What are they hiding from the American people? Release the files so that the American people can make a decision on their own. This has nothing to do with a Democratic-led conspiracy theory. And the facts and the chronology make that clear.
Thank you, Leader. I'm curious, what do you think the message is being sent?
Have you asked the question already?
No, I just got it.
Okay, all right. That's
Hold on.
all right then.
Thank you. What kind of message do you think it sends to voters in your party that you have still not endorsed the party nominee for mayor in your home city, in your home state?
We had a constructive and a candid and a community-centered meeting that lasted for over an hour on Friday, and we agreed at that meeting to reconvene upon his return back into the country. Thanks.
I've got two, Mr. Leader, if you'll allow. The first one is on the redistricting. If you have concerns, or if you're hearing concerns from your members in places like California or New York about the same thing you just raised, that in Texas, if redistricting happens this year, that you may dilute blue districts and make them more competitive, if you're hearing any concerns. My second question is just that it's been a year since the news broke that President Biden was not going to run for re-election. If you generally can just talk about what lessons the party has learned since then.
The Texas map is already gerrymandered, which is why Texas Republicans are walking themselves into a dummy mander where they are going to create competitive districts currently held by Republican incumbents, because it's hard to further gerrymander a map that is already designed to protect far-right Republican extremists who serve in the House of Representatives right now. With respect to any ongoing conversations in terms of New York, California, or beyond, I'll defer to the chair of the California delegation, Zoe Lofgren, and the chair of the New York delegation, Jerry Nadler. Last question.
Leader Jeffries, kind of off topic a little bit, but a recent poll just came out and it said that 41 of Democrats don't believe that Donald Trump legitimately won the 2024 election. That is despite the fact that nobody among Democratic leadership has questioned the results of the election. In fact, the opposite. What do you make of such a vast disconnect between your base and leaders on this very issue?
As you've pointed out, during the opening day of this congressional session, I congratulated the new president on winning the general election, and not a single Democrat, as far as I can tell, challenged the certification. Because we're not election deniers, and obviously we've seen very different behavior from the other side of the aisle. Thank you.